Hi, welcome to Joanna's DIY Life. On this channel, I love to make beautiful home decor on a budget. I have 4 projects for you, so let's get crafty. For the first DIY, I'm going to be taking these 2 crosses that I got at Hobby Lobby. They are on sale this week, the wall decor. And I am going to be using, I wasn't having problems. I was showing you the mat that I'm using. It was also 50% off from Hobby Lobby, and it's a silicone mat, and I only don't like it because it's pink. And then I'm going to take this egg garland that I also got at Hobby Lobby 40% off, and I'm going to take the eggs off and separate the eggs from the beads because I want the beads and not the eggs. I don't know why I'm going so fast. I'm going to try to keep up with myself. I wanted to make these 2 beaded things for my 2 close friends. And so I know one of them I made a tiered tray for. And the other one I didn't. But anyways, she likes the bead decor. So I'm going to take the Dollar Tree jute because it was small enough. And I'm going to, y'all, put glue on this, okay? But I do lick my fingers and get my fingers wet so that it doesn't burn me. And that's how I seal mine to poke it through beads. And then I'm going to run it through, and I'm going to get me a strand that, I think's long enough. And then I'm going to take and I'm going to put glue on there, lick my fingers again, and I'm going to stick them 2 together, pulling out as I twist so that I can make a little, little thing to string these beads. So now they're strung on there the way I want them. And I'm going to do my tassel. The way I do my tassel is I wind my twine around my fingers. I think I do it 16, 17, 20, I don't know, times. And then I leave it open. And I'll tie my strings to my little tassel, and this way it stops the beads from falling off and it holds my tassel on. There's other ways to do this, but this is just the way that I find is easier and more simple for my little simple mind, okay? So then I spread it out over the 2 little jute strings that I cut, and then I'm going to take another piece of jute string and I'm going to wrap it around and tie it. But I don't tie it in a knot because I put it on a needle, but the second one looks better than this one. I did this one wrong. I really don't know what I was thinking when I was tying this thing on here, but you'll see what I'm saying. I am going so fast, I feel like I'm gonna stutter or mess up or something. I don't even know. Okay, now I'm going to take this needle. I think it's a leather needle. I'm not even sure. It's a wing needle. I know that, and it's got a big eye, so I can pull this twine through this thing, and then I'm just going to take it, poke it down through it, and pull my twine tight towards the tassel ends, and that will secure my twine in there. Sorry, had a brain fart moment. I had to slow this thing down because my tongue can't go that fast. Right here, I just switched to a basic yarn needle. Y'all don't need nothing fancy because that other one wasn't working very well. So anyways, that's how I get these down. Once I get my string pulled through the middle, then I just take my scissors and trim the end. Or I actually cut the end and then I trim the end. When I do this next tassel, I'm going to slow it down. So I'm going to make my tassel and I'm going to leave 1 long string when I'm done, wrapping. So then I tie it in, and then I take that 1 long string that I had left and wrap it around and make my little tassel topper thingy. And now I have 1 string that I'll trim when I get decent scissors, and then I'll be able to loop the 1 string down. And then once I get this threaded, which is no problem because it has a big, hole eye in it, you go in under that you just twined around and then pull down real tight. And then you just trim whatever you got when you trim the bottom of your tassel. And that will keep it secure and not have any knots showing. This is what they look like when they're all finished. And they're ready to be displayed on a tiered tray or on a stack of books or however you want to display them or put them out. Now for this next one, I'm going to take one of these crosses that I'm sure I got at the Dollar Tree, just not sure when. And I'm going to use my favorite staining method of taking a wipe, putting it in Waverly Wax Stain, and then just rub it all over my project. The reason I do this is because I don't like dark stain. And if I'm going to put it on and just end up wiping it off anyway, I might as well just use a baby wipe. So I'm going to stain the front, the back, and the sides. Now that I have that done, I have one of these ends from one of the big blocks at the Dollar Tree. They have them every year. And it's a little too long, so I'm just going to use my miter shears. And I'm going to cut that to size. And then when I get this cut, I am going to peel all that paper off. It peels off relatively easy. And then whatever's left, I'm just going to sand over it with a sander. Now I'm going to take these little handles. They're just little handles that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. You may have seen them in a haul. And I'm going to lay them out here. I had actually seen this on Pinterest and thought it was pretty cool. So I decided I could recreate a mini one. So I'm going to just take these, have short screws, the little ones, and the big ones had longer screws. So I'm taking the shorter screws and screwing in everywhere. Except the one in the middle, and that's because I have to overlap two handles like that. And I was going to use E6000, but I decided to just use the super glue from the Dollar Tree. So I just put it around the outer side of the hole there, and then I'm just going to set it down on here, and I'm going to let it sit for a minute. I'm going to take one of the shorter screws and screw the bottom of the handle. Now I have another pack of the longer screws, so I'm going to screw one of the longer screws in the middle because it has to go through two ends of handle and then down in the wood. Then I'm just going to take the shorter screws and screw the rest of the handles on. Now all my little handles are on, and it's so pretty. And I'm just going to take this chunk of wood that I got from something from the Dollar Tree. I don't know, I took something apart. And I'm just going to take my Titebond Quick and Thick wood glue. And I'm going to put this on the bottom and spread it out. And then I'm going to set it down on the plank. I had glue on my hand and I was like, ugh. But anyway, I end up just grabbing it anyways. And then I'm going to put my glue on the back. And I'm going to take this block that I cut down and stick it on there to hold it all together. And it sticks pretty tight pretty quick. It's probably why it's called Quick and Thick. But it's my favorite wood glue. So I'm just going to wipe most of the glue that I can get off there off. And I'm not going to worry about staining the bottom or that little block because it's going to get covered up anyway. So that's going to be put to the side to dry. And I'm going to take this purple cloth. It looks kind of blue, but it's purple, I promise. And I'm going to cut a piece off. I'm going to take moss. And I got this moss at the Dollar Tree. You can use Excelsior grass or Excelsior moss. I don't know what it's called or whatever. And all I'm going to do is just put glue on the base of this and then push down my moss into the glue until it's all covered. Once you get it covered, it should look like this. Trust me, this was not easy either, okay? So these were the little flowers that I just had in a haul from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to cut them very short and just put a few in the front of this, you know, just to make it look a little cuter. Yeah. Now I'm just going to take a little piece, cut it down small, and drape it over the end, and it is done. Now, for this one, I had some of these moss bunnies and thought they were cute, but I didn't have a cloche, so I said I'm going to make my own. So this is a terracotta pot bottom. I had it on my candy thing and ripped it off. So I'm going to paint it white. Boom, it's white. I didn't distress it or anything. So I'm going to take one of my Dollar Tree moss bunnies and put it in the middle because I'm making my own cloche here. And I am just going to glue the bunny in the middle. And this is the tall stand-up bunny. Figured it'd be easier to see. And I'm going to take some of this moss. It doesn't matter, you know, what moss you use. Just make sure that you use small amounts. And you're going to want to wad it up because you don't want it sticking out where you're going to glue your jar down, see? So if you just maneuver it and just twirl it around in your hand, you can fit it right around that bunny in small amounts. The magic of air. I blew it off. So just take a little bit of glue and glue your moss down, and then I'm going to trim it away from the edge so that my jar can be, or my vase or whatever you want to call it, could be glued down and be secure. So I'm going to do this all around the bunny, and all, that jar came from the Dollar Tree, by the way, and the candle things, or all the glass stuff. So it did come from the Dollar Tree. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. This stuff makes the biggest mess. All moss makes the biggest stinking mess. So, and everything sticks to this silicone mat too, by the way. But it easily comes off with that little ladybug vacuum. But anyway, now I am going to take, and I thought I was going to put these in there, but they were way too big. So I'm going to use these little white ones, and I think I got these at Hobby Lobby too. And I'm just going to get the flower itself off and glue a few sporadically around my bunny. And then I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue to glue the cloche down to have a permanent hold and a temporary quick hold with the hot glue. But you do not want to mix these because it will make fumes that are, you know, awful to smell, and they burn your eyes. Just saying. I would know. Now I'm going to take this little plastic knob and I'm going to sand it flat. It had a little burr on it, so I sand it down, and then I sand this glass to make it have, you know, some little grooves in there for the glue to stick. So I'm just going to take E6000 and I'm going to pop that right down on the top of there, then with my gray hair. And I'm just going to leave it sit. And it is done. Okay, for this one, I'm going to use the napkins that I got from Hobby Lobby, that rabbit I got from Hobby Lobby, and this picture that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to turn it over, take the back off, and I'm going to take it all apart. And I'm not going to use the glass because I'm going to make this 3D. But I'm going to take the insert and I'm going to trace around on cardstock. So this is pretty thick cardstock. And then I'm going to cut this out. I'm not tracing the middle, just the outside. After I cut it out, I'm going to try to put it in here and make sure it fits, which it don't. So if it needs any trimming, I am just going to trim it down until I can get it in my frame. Y'all see this? this is the back of this thing, which I'm going to use. Why in the world didn't I just set that down, trace around that, and cut it out, and it would have been perfect? I don't even know. But anyways, that's what you can do. Do what I say, not what I did. So now that this all is together and fitting, I'm going to take my big happy glue stick and I'm going to glue my cardstock to the backing, okay, and get that all squared away. Now at this point you're going to want one of your napkins, and I chose these because I really like the blue buffalo check and the flowers too. So, but you want to separate your 2-ply napkin. Some are 3-ply, but this one is 2. But you want to make sure you just have 1-ply. And I am going to use a glue stick because Mod Podge is too nasty, it's too wet, and I don't like it. So I'm just going to take my glue stick and I'm going to glue on part of this, and then I'm going to stick my napkin down, but I'm going to be using a sponge to push down so that I don't rip it. I got this technique from Brandy at the DIY Struggle on her channel, but I'm not sure I'm going to do it right. I know you're not supposed to pull the napkin, but I ended up pulling it a little bit because I had a major wrinkle. But what you do is you put your napkin down and you push it with a dry sponge, and you're able to move this, as you can see, without ripping it, where if you drug your hand across it, you're gonna most likely rip it or add more wrinkles. So I gently just tap and spread it out with my sponge here. I do use my hand some, but this glue is nothing like Mod Podge. You would never be able to get away with this with Mod Podge. That's one reason why I love the glue stick. It is so much easier to work with. But anyway, all you do is go a little at a time, laying your paper down and smushing it out with the sponge, and then lay a little more glue down and do the same till you get it down there. You can work your wrinkles out by running your sponge over it. Now I'm going to set it to the side, and I'm going to grab my frame, and I am going to put all my tabs in. It doesn't matter if you get paint on these or whatever, but I just pushed them in. And I'm going to take my white chalk paint, and I'm going to use one of these little brushes from the Dollar Tree. It is not a brush, it is a, I think they call it a stencil brush or whatever. So I'm going to take this off of this, and then I'm not going to do anything to that, okay? It was just bugging me that the thing was on it. So I'm going to pounce my paint off, and I'm going to brush this. It's not really, it's kind of a dry brush technique, but I want it to look more white than black, but I want the black peeking through. So I'm just going to go around this until it looks good to me. And I'm going to do this on the outside, the inside, and the front. And I'm not worried about the back because this is mine. So I'm just going to do it all around, you know, where I can see it. Then it's going to look like that. And now I'm just going to take and sand this off, which it really doesn't matter if you cut it off or sand it off or use an X-Acto knife, because it's going to be in the frame and it doesn't matter. This is just the easiest way, and I know I'm not going to cut my cardboard with an X-Acto knife. So that's just what I do. You do you. So now that it's out, I'm going to, or done and off, I'm going to pop it back down in here. Once it was in, I took E6000 and hot glue, and glued my bunny in the middle. And I took one of my wood cutouts, which was a butterfly. You see it up there. And I painted it yellow. Painted my hello white. I think I got them from a pack from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to take this twine ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use it on the outsides. But I'm going to take, I was going to use hot glue, but it makes it stick up. So I'm going to take my Titebond wood glue, and I'm going to go a thin line all the way around this because I didn't want glue smushing out everywhere. And I'm going to stick my hello up there by, you know, the crack in its neck. Now I'm going to take that same Titebond glue and I'm going to put it around this butterfly and glue it down up above the hello, kind of crooked, you know, just to make it look a little whimsy. I'm going to take a Sharpie marker and I'm going to color in the antenna because I didn't like it all plain yellow. Now I'm going to take these paper flowers that I had in my stash, but you can get them at Hobby Lobby anytime, and I'm just going to glue them across the neck. Now the little roses I got at Walmart, I do believe. But you could probably find flowers like that at Hobby Lobby too. You know, you just have to go in there and look for them. Usually they're in the scrapbooking stuff. These little ones are. This jute ribbon, I'm going to take one edge and I'm going to just take hot glue and I'm going to place it down, and I pull tight to, you know, kind of stick it in the glue, and then I use this thing to just pat it down because there's holes in there and you will get burnt. Now when I get to the end, I'm going to put my strip down, pull tight again. I've done this all the way around, pat it down, and then I'm going to cut just a little bit before that other one where it ends. Now I'm just going to put glue on there and I'm going to smush it down, and it is seamless. It's so cute. Okay, now I just made a jute bow and I'm just going to put that between the ears, and I am done with this one. This one has the option to stand up, or it has a hanger on the back. Okay, this last one is just so easy, it's unreal. I'm just going to take a little terracotta pot from the Dollar Tree and paint it white with chalk paint. Then I'm going to take Waverly wax and wax it. I don't want the wax marks, so I'm going to just take my hands and smooth it out. I did paint down in the jar some so that, you know, the terracotta won't be seen. Then I'm going to go heavy on the edges. Now I'm just going to take this green stuff. I always have to look and make sure I'm recording. But you don't want to pack this tight because you won't be able to get your carrots and stuff in. So I had 4 carrots left and I didn't know what to do with them. And this is perfect. So I'm just going to put my carrots in here. No rhyme or reason. Just throw them in the pot of grass. Then I'm going to take one of these. That just cleans that off so good, don't it? Anyway, I got a vacuum now. But I am going to take a Sharpie, and all I'm going to do is put bunny bait on this little stake. It's a plant stake from the Dollar Tree. And that's all I'm doing. Now I'm going to stick this down in the pot. And then see that little bunny butt back there? Right there. I am going to glue that little bunny butt that I painted right there. And this one's done. These are so stinking cute. They came out so good. I think that bunny right there and the cross is my absolute favorites in this one that I did. I mean, I love them all, but I always have to pick a favorite, and it would be these two right here. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel because I'd love to have you. And remember, you are a blessing. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.